We're heading over to Gil Bennett's house.
I have been so looking forward to this.
Oh, me too. Gil paints the most amazing railroad subjects.
Oh, he paints amazing everything.
He does. I mean, not just railroad subjects, principally railroad subjects. He's been making a living doing that for as long as I've known him. He used to paint leaning tree gift cards and Christmas cards, but then he started his own company doing that, and just amazing these cards that he does, and paintings and commissions. And so anyway, he's into Sn3. Sn3 is his scale and gauge of choice. And we have the upcoming NMRA National Convention in Salt Lake in 2019.
Yes.
And he has a goal to have his railroad completely finished for that.
Wow.
And currently, as I understand it, it's completely there in terms of track, bench work, operations, etc., and about 50% totally finished scenery. So let's check this out. Gil Bennett's amazing Sn3 layout. So Gil has chosen to model one of our favorite railroads, the Rio Grande.
Yes.
We've had so much fun riding on the Rio Grande.
We sure have.
Most recently, that caboose hop that we did between Chama and Antonito. But he's done an engine shop here, which is exactly the same as the engine shop we're doing over at Garage Mahal, just a little smaller, because his is S scale and ours is 20th scale. But with any luck at all, we should have something similar to this over at Garage Mahal pretty soon. Most of these locomotives are by Pbl Brass Locomotives. Gil has a deal with Pbl. He's done painting for them. And Pbl is really the principal supplier for Sn3. And a lot of people really love Sn3 because if you can fit HO standard gauge, you can pretty much fit Sn3. Almost the exact same size track, exact same curve radiuses, and so on. So this will fit in just about any space that you can fit an HO railroad. But Gil's railroad is just, so beautiful.
It's picturesque. Look at the trees and the detail.
I feel like we're right there in Colorado, New Mexico, somewhere. He's chosen to model a very specific point in time, late in the fall, early winter, when most of the leaves are off of the aspens, but not quite all, but the snow hasn't quite started flying just yet. So it's a very, very specific window that he's after. But some of these locations, I swear you feel like you're actually there.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a model railroad at all.
It does not look like a model railroad. It just feels like an actual time and place somewhere in Colorado or New Mexico.
Right.
This little area here is up on the second level, and it's just amazing.
Look at the rock detail.
I can't believe it. I mean, he's exactly nailed how the rocks would weather and come down. Some of this is real rock. Most of it is plaster. And look at the sagebrush.
That's really real.
It looks like sagebrush. I swear I feel like I could just walk right up to that locomotive. I actually wish I could walk right up to that.
And it makes me homesick. It looks like where I grew up.
It looks exactly like where you grew up. And Gil did mention that he's a big fan of Central Utah, so it makes sense.
Exactly.
One of the things I find really fascinating here is the equipment that he's running. Again, it's all Pbl, but some of the locomotives are painted Rio Grande Southern. Most of the freight equipment, which is also Pbl as I understand it, is all painted for the Denver and Rio Grande. But that makes sense because to a large degree, the Rio Grande Southern was almost like a division of the Rio Grande. The poor little Rio Grande Southern went broke right away and spent most of its life in some kind of bankruptcy and ended up being operated by the Rio Grande. So you can mix this equipment up, which is exactly what I want to do on our railroad. This just feels like some place that we've been a million times.
It seems so familiar.
It does. It's so much like where you grew up.
Exactly.
but it's also like part of Colorado and parts of New Mexico.
Right.
But it just feels so real and so familiar.
It's amazing how you cannot tell where the backdrop begins and the actual layout starts.
I love the sense of foothills here. It's something missing on so many backdrops. But there's a real sense of this railroad blending right into that backdrop. And like you say, you can't tell where one ends and the other begins. And of course, that makes a good deal of sense since Gill is a professional landscape painter.
He sure is.
And he's best known for his railroad subjects. So it makes a really good deal of sense that these backdrops would just be beautiful. And yet notice they don't overwhelm the scene. It's still all about the trains, but off there in the distance, these hand-painted backdrops just fit the scene perfectly and blend right in. Karen and I have been trying to figure out how to paint backdrops. We've both been painting paintings our whole lives.
Right.
We love doing that, and she's pretty darn good at it.
Oh, I usually use pencil or charcoal, but you can't have black and white.
But Gill here makes his living painting these paintings, and he's been doing that for as long as I've known him. But look at the detail.
I'll say, and his application of color, wow.
And he uses a very interesting technique. We've been looking at different people's techniques as we've been exploring backdrops. But he loves to paint down into detail. He just picks a little spot and goes deeper and deeper and deeper into the detail and then moves on to some other area. And it sure works well for the subjects that he does. Look at these locomotives. I swear it looks like a three-dimensional train sitting there.
He's so steady-handed. My goodness, if I tried that, I'd have a big blob of black over my red.
Yeah, me too. My hands tremor like there's no tomorrow. But Gill is steady as a rock. Gill has a website where he sells these as well as gift cards and stuff. So if you want to have your mind blown, just navigate over to his website, and heck, you can shop for some Christmas cards or something while you're over there. But
or just look at the beautiful pictures.
just reflect on these beautiful paintings. This is Gil's annual calendar, and I wanted to pick one up from him, but he sold out almost immediately.
I'll bet.
So he's going to get some more printed, and then we should get one.
Oh, I love this one.
Isn't that amazing? I feel like I know that guy. And of course, as we mentioned, Gil doesn't just do railroad subjects. He does a lot of different subjects. I suppose not everyone loves trains, although I don't understand that at all. This looks like where you grew up.
It sure does. I think I know that house.
Yeah, and this is, in fact, where you grew up. He loves painting down in central Utah.
Well, this is definitely where I grew up, the Manti LDS Temple.
Yeah, and oddly enough, home of Rat Fink.
Exactly.
But of course, Gil is best known for his railroad subjects, and that would include his layout. Well, as we mentioned, the scenery is about half in. The trains are all completely finished, although something like that is never completely
No, it never
finished.
is.
You're always looking for another locomotive and some more rolling stock. But his goal right now is to get the other half of the scenery finished, and then he's going to start doing layout tours.
Oh, how fun.
So if you want to see this in person, you might want to plan one of the upcoming conventions, because this will be on layout tours starting in about 2019. At least as soon as he gets the rest of the scenery, and he doesn't want anybody to see it like it is.
But he works fast.
So we won't tell anyone what it looks like. We'll keep that to ourselves. Well, there you go. There's Gil's Railroad.
That's amazing.
Needless to say, the backdrop.
No kidding. And
you know,
he paints fast.
He paints fast.
Not like me, I'm like,
But, I mean, I guess it makes a good deal of sense that one of America's premier railroad subject painters and landscape painters and so on would have a pretty reasonable backdrop
Of course.
on their Sn3 railroad.
Of course, yes.
So actually, we're going to come back next week because we've done that series on doing backdrops.
Yes.
And Gil Bennett's going to throw down on that with our third in this series of backdrop, and he's going to show us how he painted his backdrop. And
Wow.
give us lessons on backdrop
Oh my
painting.
gosh, yes.
So you do want to check that out.
Yes.
Well, if you haven't been over to the channel, pop on over to the channel. And if you haven't subscribed, you do want to subscribe.
Sure do.
Because subscription is cool. And of course, it doesn't cost anything. It just means that we'll notify you whenever we upload the
Absolutely.
Sunday show or the Tuesday show or the Wednesday show or whatever. Whenever we upload something, you'll get a notification. And you want that because it's cool.
Yes.
Now, the easy way to subscribe and to get to the channel is to click on the blue button.
Yes.
You ready for it? Zoink! Right here, blue button. It says subscribe, means exactly what it says.
Yes.
And that will take you to the channel. If you're already a subscriber, it'll just take you to the channel. Otherwise, it'll make you a subscriber. Well, we're not sure how you found this movie on the internet. We hope you didn't find it boring. And we will see you here again in a few days
Yes.
with another show. See you
See
then.
ya. Bye.
Bye-bye.